So I recently attended an Accessibility Nottingham event and I decided not to drive but go via train. I pre-booked assistance for the upward journey but not for the return. Anyway, I started at Eastleigh and changed at Winchester for Derby. Help was there as expected. Derby again, although I think they were expecting someone else, there was still help to get us off the train, as you can see. Had to reverse because the cross-country trains seem to have quite steep ramps. And from Derby we went to Nottingham Rail Station. So here we are, just going through the concourse. There's lifts to get from one platform to the other and across. And when we were down on the platform via the lift, we got an East Midlands Railway train from Derby to Nottingham. Here we are finding the train now. We're on the platform. Boarding the train to Nottingham was easy. As you can see, here we are again, help was there when we needed it, and straight on. On the train, quite roomy in there, not as tight squeeze as the cross-country trains. So we move into our position, and there are some chairs with handlebars, but there is a space there for wheelchair users. Anyway, we arrived at Nottingham. Again, the guard got the ramp off for us, got the ramp out, and off we get. And then it's a bit of a journey through Nottingham Station. There's a couple of lifts. Up we go in the lifts. And outwards towards the tram, which is on, I think you have to take one lift up and then another lift, if I remember, or find out in this video. So up in one lift, through the concourse, then out to another. And it was here that I had my first ever encounter with a tram system. And I must say, while I'm here, it was absolutely wonderful. You get out of the station, you go straight to the station street stop. There's a little ramp up to the tram, as you'll see in a minute. And when the tram does pull in, it's easy. There's no steps, no ramps. You don't need to wait for someone to come and get you on the train. You do as you want. You get on it, there's plenty of room. I understand it can be a bit crowded in rush hours, but that's no different to the tube, which is a lot worse. So here comes the tram, on we get. We take the tram a few stops to the Nottingham Trent University stop. When we get there, again, it's easy getting off. It's a really smooth ride on the tram. And then it's just a short walk to the Premier Inn. So here we are off at the Nottingham Trent University stop. And I really like the Premier Inn. We booked a room a couple of weeks before using the online service, and it's easy to do. You can book an accessible room. There's an adjoining Costa where we had breakfast the following day. And once we checked into our room, I rested for a few hours. Good sized standard room, but had a good rest. And then for the main point of me travelling all the way up to Nottingham was to speak at the Accessibility Nottingham event. And here we are in the Playwright 38, I think it's called. You can read all the reviews of everywhere we spent the days on AccessAdvisr.net. The following day we had breakfast at Costa's, and then it was back home. Only this time I didn't pre-book assistance, as I wanted to see what difference it made. Again, the tram stop was just outside the hotel. Really fantastic. I can't sort of speak highly enough of it because it would be good if a lot of towns and cities did that. So we got the train. This again was quite a steep ramp, and I think you'll notice that as we get on the train, there was a really tight curve to get into a tight bend to get into the carriage. I did struggle with it, but eventually, I don't know if anyone else does this, I used the right wheel of my chair as a sort of turning against the side of the train to get it to turn on a pivot, as it were. Eventually squeezed in, had a good journey back, went via St Pancras, and then underground to Green Park from King's Cross, then Green Park to Waterloo, and back to Eastleigh. And the funny thing was that all the way home, I hadn't booked any assistance, but it was always there when we need it. I'd like to thank my daughter Yasmin for keeping me company on this trip. I'd like to thank ITP for putting me in touch with HeX Productions, and in turn HeX Productions for inviting me up to speak at Accessibility Nottingham. Also, I'd like to thank every one of the people involved in lugging me on and off of trains, giving us directions. At the hotel, they couldn't have been more friendly. I know a lot of disabled people do have problems on rail travel when they encounter people that aren't willing to help, or the ramp's not ready, or they're told they haven't booked. But I can only speak as I find, and this was a great trip, and I got my first ever ride on the tram system, which can't be all that bad. So, until the next time, bye for now.